Yo, what's up guys? It's your favorite host, Aztec Jaguar, and welcome back to another video. Quick intro right before heading out to this new interview, which I'm very excited for you guys to watch. We have a coach of mine, Coach Ozzy. He is a veteran in this sport, has trained around the world with many great UFC and MMA fighters. He is the CEO and founder of Revolt Fighting League. RFL is a amateur fighting league done very professionally, and they're bringing great things to you guys. So stay tuned. I'm gonna leave their Instagram right up here. Another thing guys, this video is sponsored by 360 Innovation Signs. They do the coolest shit with LED lights, the coolest shit with signs and car wraps. So if you guys want to check them out, I'm gonna leave their Instagram right up here. Other than that guys, let's get to it. Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Thank you for tuning in. It's a new segment today. I am very excited to speak about today's segment. I would love to title it Heroes Without Capes, Capeless Heroes. We know behind every great fighter, there's always a great team. And I am so happy to announce that I get to interview such a great coach, Coach Ozzy. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So good to be interviewing you. I'm so happy to have you here. I just seen you train a great name, Miss Gabby Garcia. She's such a great fighter. How does it feel to be training someone like that?
Well, it's a mixed feeling. One, it's always a little responsibility on your shoulders when you're training a world-class athlete, whereas they will be competing under such a heavy competition. So many eyes are on them, and so much of I do will depend on so much of what she does. So it's a big responsibility to carry on your shoulder. As an athlete, the only responsibility you have is you. But as a coach, now it's your responsibility lays in someone else's hands. So it's a little stressful situation, but it's a healthy stress. It's something that excites me, something that motivates me and encourages me to do my research better, to do my work better, to analyze and constantly live to improve.
Okay, so there's way more to coaching than simply just hopping on the mats and sharing your experience. As you said, you have to research, and is it different research per different fighter, right?
100%, because I believe in, especially in our science, where it's a science of combat, it is important to understand each athlete in his own individuality, because one move that works for two people may not work same way on a third person due to their character differences, attitude differences, age, physique, strengths and weaknesses, and so on, so on. So my goal as a coach to be as functional as possible in the ways where I'm able to do a little micro adjustments of each technique to fit that particular athlete to maximize the efficiency of that technique. So it requires a lot of work. If a coach is trying to be as functional and as efficient as possible towards his students, then yes. A lot of coaches, they create a system where people coming in, they either fit that system or they don't. My style is slightly different. I have my core blueprint principles, but I'm trying to do a little micro adjustments according of the athlete to make sure I catch the same wave, the same language, the same understanding for that athlete, so the move that I present to him can be used at its maximum efficiency.
Okay, I see. So now that you're talking about your style, what differentiates your style of teaching? And I know you're a master of your art. I've taken a couple of your classes, which I'm happy to have taken. I love the way you teach. What differentiates the way you teach, which I know wrestling, you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes.
Your difference of wrestling and teaching besides someone else's?
What do you think? What is the difference?
Oh, I absolutely love it. It's the pressure you had us do that day I took your classes, the constant pressure, the explosiveness, and the efficiency on each takedown and finishing. It's way better than any other wrestling I have done.
Well, let me add on to that now. One of the things that allows me to separate myself from so many different coaches is not that I know better this, I know better that, but one of the biggest things is I'm able to link different sciences of combat, such as jiu-jitsu, sambo, and wrestling, into one thing. And I believe, this is my opinion, I may be wrong, I have a very good understanding on how to intertwine the two different skill sets into one particular set of competition. For example, taking something from a limited sport such as wrestling, it's a sport with a limited rule set, and transition that into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu grappling, where the rule set is much wider and broader than wrestling, and taking that also linking it into the MMA. This understanding of transitions allows me to make a little micro adjustments on the techniques and make them more efficient, make them more adjustable to the particular rule set of competition. And that's one of the things. And two, every coach that separates himself from the rest, I believe they all share one thing in common. That is constant studying and constant self-improvement. A lot of people, when they reach the status of coach, either they titled it to themselves or somebody titled it to them, they think this is it. Like, I reached the pinnacle of my studies and now it's time for me to share. Believe it or not, when I stepped away from competing myself and I started investing more time into sharing my knowledge with others, sharing my experience with others, I felt this huge urge and need to acquire more knowledge, because I was like, if I'm presenting something to somebody while this person is believing in me, believing in my knowledge, and he's going out there to compete under stressful scenarios, under scenarios where he may get hurt, and he uses my technique and the technique that I showed him is wrong and he gets hurt, it's on me.
Yeah.
So I said, I need to make sure whatever I'm giving to them is a complete product after so much time of empirical research, analysis, discoveries, field testing, and only when all that is digested, corrected, fixed, and put in the right form, I present it to my clients. So every successful coach, I believe, to my understanding and to my educated experience, it's that's what they have in common. They all constantly self-improve and they learn every single day.
Okay, that's so polishing basically up everything you already know and just making it better in order to share it.
Every day, every day. I challenge my knowledge every single day.
Awesome.
I always trying to find loopholes to the things that I do. Always trying to find a little cracks in the system, a little hacks to the system, or and errors that I do. And you cannot have ego. You cannot be too narrowed down to what you know and thinking that's the best thing in the world. There's always somebody better than you. There's a knower above every knower. That's my mentality. That's my vision. I may be wrong, but
I love it. I love
that's
it.
how I live by.
That's awesome. I love the way you think. I've always said that. So your job as a coach now, more than just the physical aspect and everything you share, I remember very vividly at the end of practice, what you had us do was, the visualization at the end and the breathing techniques. After a hard workout you put us through. How do you put in your work mentally and everything else besides the physical aspect of coaching?
Well, I believe a lot of people, they like to separate and put the importances on one aspect than the other. For example, some people say no, physicality is more important than the mental aspect, then the other people will say the vice versa against that. No, mental aspect is everything, physical is nothing. It doesn't work like that. Believe it or not, it's as I like to use a very sensitive subject, it's like a female and male. Which one is better? You cannot choose which one is better. It's a complete balance. It's one balances the other. They're not equal. There is no one better than the other, but it's just one is something that the other is not. And by putting the two together, you get complete picture, correct? That's how I see the science of mental, spiritual, psychological, intellectual, whatever you want to call it, versus physical. Putting them together, you get the complete sense. So whenever I try to work on myself, improve on something, I always make sure there's an intellectual start, physical practices, and intellectual, spiritual completion of the action. And I'm trying to give that to my students too. So before our practices, especially if I'm working with somebody first time, I give them a little understandings of principles, of system. When I work their brains a little bit, I work their physicality, and at the end, I finish with a good psychological recap, a full intellectual observation and analysis of what they did to facilitate everything what we did physically. That's that's my way of doing it.
Okay, and I love that. I absolutely love that. Like I said, at the end of practice, that was my highlight of it. You know, just sitting back down and acknowledging my mistakes and what I need to do better, and then visualizing myself winning in every situation.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
was super cool. I absolutely love that. But now that you said you're no longer competing and just teaching, um, tell us a little bit more about your future projects with teaching. Or I know you have your own fighting association, RFL. Am I right?
Yes, yes, it's my new adventure. Um, I just started my new MMA promotion on the East Coast. It's an amateur event so far. We're planning to go pro after a few more events, and believe it or not, it's doing amazing. Again, it's something that I invested so much time to analyze the industry, to study, to get as much as resources as possible before I made my step. I basically used the same principles I used for my own career. Before you go out there and fight, make sure you're as prepared as possible. Try to visualize every possible negative outcome and work yourself in a way where you're able to avoid them, break them, pass them, destroy them, trick them, whatever needs to be done so there are no obstacles between you and your goal. So I've done so much work before I did my first event, and the event was huge success. I had commissioners coming up to me and saying, Ozzy, since 2005, since the first MMA amateur event in New Jersey, we haven't seen anybody at the professionalism, at the levels that you've done for this event yet. They said it's the most professional amateur event we've done so far.
Congratulations,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, to hear that from the commissioners means a lot. And most importantly, the fighters, the athletes, and the people who came to watch, they were all left only with the positive comments. They were all happy. Most of the night, people weren't even sitting. Everybody was standing. That's how much energy was in the room. It was beautifully done. So I cannot wait for my next event. It's going to be in September, so you guys better tune in.
Oh yeah, definitely. You want to let us know more information on that? You said it's in September. Do you have a date for it yet?
Follow Revolt FL on Instagram or my personal page Ozzy MMA, and I'm constantly updating the infos. I'm always putting some new news out there on both of the social medias. The one that I take care of personally, and my team takes care of the Revolt page. So we're always on point with the information. So if you follow those pages, you will get all the info and all the updates.
Awesome. Thank you guys. You already heard. Make sure you tune in. Stay tuned for all these fights. It's very, very fun to watch, and seeing a coach of mine, be in there. So, moving on a little bit, what's your favorite aspect and why mixed martial arts? A question I had was, I always wondered what made you start mixed martial arts, and now seeing you and some of my teammates' corners on TV and stuff, always, excites me seeing someone that I took a class with being in the corner. But what made you start mixed martial arts?
I never chose this. It was given to me from my father. My father is a national wrestling champion in USSR before it was Russia. Um, he's a fanatic of combat arts, combat sports, and yeah, he put me on his path. So I don't. My conscious memory has no time that I can remember that I wasn't an athlete. I wasn't in the gym or anything. So he literally put me on this path since I didn't even have understanding of what I was doing. And there was a time when I hated what I was doing because he started putting me into competitions since I was 6 years old.
Okay.
Up to 10, 11 years old, I freaking hated it because I was losing all the tournaments. I was getting beat up all the time. I was always physically the smallest in the gym. All the kids my age, they were bigger and stronger than me. So it was big time of depression for me where I just hated what I was doing. Then at the age of either 10 or 11, I wouldn't be able to recall exactly, but around that time, I actually said, you know what, I don't care, I'm just gonna go and fight as hard as I can. He was making me compete in the kickboxing competitions. He actually didn't make me start with wrestling.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a wrestler, but he said, no, wrestling is in your blood. Just start with striking. Wrestling will come later, easily. So yeah, and just one day I said, you know what, all out. I don't care about anything, win or lose. I just want to fight. I just want to hurt this guy in front of me because I'm tired being beat up. So, and amazing, I took my first time gold medal around that age. And after that, all the tournaments that I was going, I was always coming back with the medal. If it's not first place, at least it's either silver or bronze. And slowly it started picking up. Then even though I started winning the tournaments, there was a period of time up to 15 years old where I was getting bullied a lot in school. A lot of people were making fun of me that I wasn't doing wrestling. I was doing, they were calling ballet and dancing. Dancing, what is this? Boxing, kickboxing. I was also doing taekwondo. So they were really making fun of me and bullying me because by us in the region where I grew up, if you're not doing wrestling, you're not a man. So it's very strict. Yes, it was a very harsh environment. So I was getting a lot of bullying, and one of the big reasons also was I had fear because everybody, even in my classmates, they were big, one head above me. They were so big, so I had this lack of confidence fighting back just because of the size differences. And then at the age of 15, I remember I had a scenario when one guy was bullying me very bad and saying stuff. Then I was holding, eating everything that he was saying, and then he spit on my chest. That was a flip. I said, you know what? If I die, I die. I closed my eyes. I made a fist. I threw 1, 2. I opened my eyes, and he was on the floor, unconscious. I said, "Wait a minute. I can put people to sleep, you know." And after that moment, I realized, hey, nobody's bullying me anymore. Yeah. And that's the time also when I started wrestling more than kickboxing. And by the age of 17, 18, before I left to this country, I was already competing in wrestling competitions, combat sambo competitions, and I was taking people down who's been doing the sport for much longer than I did, and everybody was like, oh, who the hell is this kickboxer taking people down, you know? Because my father was dying for me to do striking sports, and I was dying to do grappling sports. So okay. I always had this conflict with him. But then when I came to this country at the age of 18, I completely stopped doing any kind of striking training. I solely dedicated myself to grappling, winning the grappling and jiu-jitsu tournaments. There was still some sambo tournaments over here, but I competed, and I was a little discouraged because the level of sambo tournaments on the East Coast was much lower than what I was doing in Russia. Okay. So I said, let me just concentrate on something that challenges me, which is jiu-jitsu and grappling strictly. And my first year and a half, 2 years, I dedicated strictly to that before I started doing MMA fights.
Oh, dang. So you've been doing this for all your life?
Oh, basically. Yeah, all my life, yes.
You said you were feeling burnt out at early age, right? And
at the early age, yeah. Yeah, that's why I advise I have kids classes. When I teach kids classes, I always tell parents, please don't push the kids. I went through this. I know, just let them be playful around that age. After 12, 13 years old, you can start adding a little pressure on them, a little more demanding. But until then, my advice is play strategy with them, play a rewarding system with them, show them you're happy for them, but nothing gray energy, this like a pushing, because yeah, I was broken. It was a very tough time, but somehow, thank God, I didn't stop this.
Oh yeah, thank God you did. I mean, you're sharing your knowledge now, which we all love learning. I've gotten the chance to, practice with many big names thanks to you bringing them into the room at Ruka in Costa Mesa. That was awesome.
Thank you.
I hope to take another of your classes pretty soon. I've been pretty busy with all this other stuff in school, but man, thank you so much. I really enjoyed the time with you.
Thank you.
Guys, make sure to tune in again. Aztec Jaguar MMA. That will be our TikTok, our Instagram, our YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment any other fighters you would like to see next. Would you like to shout out anybody or say your social media so they can follow you and tag you and stuff?
Hey guys, it's simple. Like I said, if you want to see more information of the things that I teach and my mentality about mixed martial science, you can follow my personal page, Ozzy MMA, on Instagram. And if you want to hear more about my MMA promotion, it's Revolt FL on Instagram. My team takes care of that one too. So thank you, everybody.
Awesome, guys. You already heard it. Tune in to his social media and everything else. You're going to fall in love with everything he has in store for you guys. Once again, guys, tune in for the next one. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Thank you so much.